guess it's 9 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. See Dan's there. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
We'll take a look at the agenda. Any additions, Mr. Ewing?
Mr. Chairman, yes. Please add on the commissioners' warrants. We have a add-on commissioners' warrants for 10, 12 of 20. There was a small group of them this morning for you. Just a second here. I need to mute my microphone. Test. Okay. That's better. I'm going to need a little sound there, but that'll be all right. At 10:35, we're going to have Auditor Treasurer Tyler Reich. We're going to discuss home tax abatement public hearing date for Mr. Spencer Messman, and you have paperwork with you. And to Dan, you have a copy of that as well. If you check the email.
Yes, I do.
Okay. At 10:45, I'd like to add a board to go into closed session to discuss real estate. 10:45 to go to closed session to discuss real estate.
Okay.
On the consent agenda, I have it listed under other business as to approve a per diem to Commissioner Hollingsworth for insurance meeting attendance for 9/8. I'd request that go to the consent agenda to be put under the warrants and commissioners' warrants. The issue there is that we had an old meeting email list, and Bruce is actually with Luke on the insurance committee, but our list showed it was still Chris. So Chris did come to the meeting, Bruce was not, so we'd like to authorize Chris's per diem for that day. So just add that to consent agenda if that would be okay with the board.
Okay.
Next, I have a request to adjust the hours at the extension office. We'll put that on as a other business item. And lastly, just to have a discussion regarding the Association of Minnesota Counties for request for possible funding for their COVID operations under the CARES Act. And that's a discussion item, so that's information only at this time. It's not an action item.
Is that all?
A lot happened yesterday. Friday was looking good. Yes, that is all, Mr. Chairman.
Here to move to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Mr. Chair, I'll move the agenda as adjusted.
Okay, let's move to approve it. Dan, you want to second it?
Yes, I will second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. We have the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'd move the consent agenda.
Okay, Luke moved,
Second.
and Luke and Chris, motion and second for the consent agenda. Any other discussion on that? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, Nick, you have some stuff for us today?
Good morning.
Morning.
Starting with project updates. First update I have is the first project I have is the 2020 box culvert contract number 2 with R&G Construction. All culverts are expected to be completed by mid to late November. I believe they have 2 of the 3 done right now. And the next one, they had to leave for a little bit, and I believe the next one is, will be in the end of this week, I think, to start on that, and that shouldn't take them long, so end of next week, hopefully that's all done, so. My next update is for the CASA 13 widening project. That is substantially complete. I think all that's left out there would be us putting up our signs, so I don't know if you've driven that project, but it was a big improvement. Next update would be the Indian Lakes Trail. That one is also substantially complete. Going from memory, they have to repair a couple sidewalk panels. And I believe that's it for them. We need to put up our signs and then that little trail thing for fish and wildlife that they had talked about, so then that one will be done. Next update I'm gonna go over would be our 2021 box culvert contract number 1. That bid opening would be October 27th at 10:30. Those would be culverts up in the northwest part of the county. Then the last update I'm gonna go over is actually on page 2. I'm skipping back to that one because that one's got a unique situation with it. It's our third box culvert contract for 2020. It's with Midwest Contracting. I expect all that work to be done probably the end of next week as well. Unfortunately with that one, there was some type of survey error when they were going off of our hubs, and they ended up installing the culverts too low, about 3 feet too low, which resulted in them having to pull them all back out and relay them, which is very unfortunate for them. It's going to be, I'm sure, expensive for them. We checked our hubs and our survey work and everything. We checked out, you know, it wasn't on our end, it was on their end, and they weren't accusing us of anything. But, you know, they're one of our probably 5 main bidders. They're out of Marshall, they're local. You know, historically, they've done really good work for us. I showed up one of the projects and they were spray foaming the joints in the culvert to make sure it sealed up good. That's not in the standard construction specifications. You don't have to do that. They just did it. So I guess, you know, I feel bad for them. It wasn't our fault. We don't have to do anything, but I would like to work with them on this and try to help them out some. So some things that came to mind that I'd like to consider doing would be, if they can't get this project done in the required timeline, I think that, you know, they worked last weekend, I think, just judging by how far they got, they had to have worked over the weekend. But if they end up running a couple days over on completion, I think I'd like to waive the penalty for them. Having installed these culverts too low, that means they dug too much dirt out. So another thing I think we could possibly do would be, if it's decent fill material, I think I'd like to offer that we haul it away for them. We could put it out at the landfill or our gravel pit. If it's good fill material, there'd be a value to us for that. Excuse me. And another thing, you know, it's going to take some extra bedding or backfill material, since that hole's too deep. You know, they got to make up that 3 feet. So thinking something else we could possibly do if we wanted would be to maybe offer a cost share in some of that backfill material. I was maybe thinking up to $10,000, and it'd probably be like a 50-50 cost share or something. We don't have to do any of this. I feel like if we did work with them, I think we'd get that back and then some on future bid prices, just because they know that we're good to work with. So, you know, if we did do that cost share, the state money we get for construction funds would be used to pay for that. It wouldn't be levy money. I also looked up the bids on this project. Their bid was $40,000 below the engineer's estimate, and they were $20,000 below the second low bid. So we got a good price on it from them too. So I guess that's what I'd like to go over with you guys today, see what you guys feel about if we want to do anything about this, or
is this something that we could just let Nick work with them and use his own discretion, or do we need to formally spell out every dollar? And
I would think that you could, yeah, we wouldn't need to do a change order. I don't think. You know, it'd be your bid items you already have a price established for. I just didn't want to go ahead and just do this stuff or tell them we do it without talking to the board first. That would not be the right way to handle it. So,
well, it's an unfortunate things happen, but at the same time, if you work with them a little bit, it might get done a little bit quicker too, and we have a little better relationship for future projects.
Yeah,
I'm not opposed to it, I guess. I don't know about the rest of the
Yeah.
board, but.
for what,
Chair, I have a couple questions for Nick, and Mr. Chair, I can't hear you very well. If you can speak up a little bit more when you speak, but the question I've got for Nick, if I understood you correctly, so they were low bid by $20,000, but their low bid had nothing to do with the mistake made in setting the culvert. The culvert being set too low had nothing to do with their bid, correct?
that is correct, yep.
Okay, I understand the thought in wanting to maintain good working relations with them, and I certainly would be in favor of waiving any penalties because of overage of time. But I really feel that any out-of-pocket cost for the county and for the county taxpayers would be inappropriate for a couple reasons. First of all, that it was very clear the mistake was not on our side, it was on theirs. If the tables were turned and the mistake was on us, we'd be eating 100% of it because it would be our mistake.
That's probably right.
Another concern that if we do cut them some slack here, which yes, it'd be the nice thing to do, but I'm afraid the precedent that would be setting going forward would be very, very difficult to live up to. So I would not be in favor of any financial allowances being made for their mistake. But if we can help them out by not charging penalty for time, then you mentioned something about hauling dirt, so we would have some out-of-pocket costs for labor and fuel if we hauled for them. That might be something that we could maybe consider, but again, I don't want to set a precedent, so.
Yeah, so I'll touch on those a little bit more. If we hauled extra dirt, there would be, we would do it in a manner to where there would be like a value to us for that material. We've taken some extra dirt at the old landfill before that was clean and good, and we used it to cover up some bad areas in the pit, and then we ended up reseeding it to get I think we put alfalfa out there. So, we could say that there would be some value to this fill material to us. Depending on like this backfill, I could say that, if we had more backfill under the culvert, it would probably be stronger, better base. I'm not going to say it's cost effective, but I'm saying there would be an improvement there too. So I guess that's just a little bit more info on some of those items.
Yeah, and I think that we can easily justify that extra hauling of dirt and so forth as a contribution in kind and not a direct financial cost up out of our pocket. So I guess I could maybe see some leniency that way. But as far as splitting the financial part, I have a hard time supporting that.
Okay. Do we need anything else, Nick? Along this line, do we need to discuss it any further? Can you proceed just kind of
I can proceed with,
appropriate, I guess, and
yep, I can go ahead, excuse me, I can go ahead with the penalty and the hauling for right now, and then we'll just see what the overrun is, and I guess if they formally request that later or something, we can talk about it again, but for right now, I'll just tell them that we'll haul some of the good material that we could, we would find valuable to us, and that we'll see how close they come on the completion date. If they're only a day or two over, I'll tell them
I don't think that's a big problem. It's still early in the season anyway here, so.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's an inconvenience for the farmers, but,
Something they did intentionally or delayed working on it, so.
oh yeah, this is gonna cost them a lot, so, they didn't want this to happen, but, okay. All right.
What do you think? I'd like to ask my other commissioners what their opinions are as well.
I guess I agree with you, Dan, that the in-kind assistance as well as, possibly forgiving any penalties is certainly in line. Considering it was just a mistake. I mean, it wasn't something they intentionally did by any means.
Mr. Chair, I agree with waiving the penalty
Okay.
this time. I agree.
I think we're all kind of on the same boat there, so that sounds fine. If Nick can work with them a little bit within his guidelines, we'll kind of see how that works out. So if there's any more,
Mr.
Problems
Chair, if we
with it?
need to, we can put this on the agenda for the 27th as well. If something needs to be done, Nick can come back if we need to
Nick
do
has
board
something
action
else,
on
he can
that.
bring it back on the 27th.
If he needs to, yeah.
Okay,
And I would think that it'd be, we know a lot more of how close we're gonna be on materials, et cetera, by then, so. Next item I have would be the RFPs for the judicial ditch number 1 preliminary solutions for flood control. We ended up receiving 4. The RFPs came from Bolton and Mank, ISG, or Bolton and Mank, they're out of Fairmont, ISG out of Mankato, Houston Engineering out of Maple Grove, and Central out of Marshall, Minnesota. Lowest bid was a range of 30 to 40,000, depending exactly what we wanted, and they ranged up to 83,500. I haven't had an opportunity to read these really thoroughly. In skimming through them, I think all of them would do good work. I think they'd all be fine. These proposals had varying timelines. And then, you know, they all gave a fee schedule for additional work, you know, if we wanted them to do something else too, so. So I guess at this time, I'm looking for some board direction. I'm thinking the next step may be to go to like the subcommittee and try to get a recommendation for how to move forward, and then, you know, I guess to me, that's the next step, is what
these bids are all for just planning and designing, and
Yep.
they're not for any actual work yet at this
No,
point.
no. This would be for the analyzing it, coming up with some solutions, et cetera. And then, you know, if
And who's gonna help pay for all this?
that's what we would talk about at the subcommittee, yeah. That would be the next step, and I don't know how that would go, to be honest, so.
That's the million-dollar question.
Yep.
Is the city of Pipestone gonna be involved in these decisions?
City of Pipestone is a member of the task force, so they will
Okay.
be invited. The mayor and Administrator Jones
If they're
were
pumping
involved in
a
this.
substantial amount of water into this system, they should certainly be involved in the solution, I would think.
Yep. Yep, so we'll see how that goes, but to me, that's probably the next step.
It's a reality, that's what it is. They're
Correct.
using it as well as everybody else here. so.
Yep, definitely.
And the other group we'd like to have involved in this too, obviously, would be the ditch committee.
Right.
So we need to get the ditch committee to discuss it, and the task force, and then at some point we'll come back to the board
Okay,
with a recommendation.
so at this point, we're not looking for any
Nope.
action at this thing, we're just
Just-
talking about it,
I guess just the direction to talk, the instruction, whatever, to talk with the subcommittee, so.
whatever the next step is.
Okay. One side note on that, though, if we're gonna involve the ditch committee, which we should, almost all of them are farmers. So I don't think a meeting's gonna work probably until November. If I remember correctly, we had a resident that was upset with the late meeting last time because they thought we were trying to hide it from them or something, you know, till they're south for the winter or whatever, but I don't know. With the farmers, they're never gonna meet in October.
Right.
You know, so it's gonna have to, I believe, wait till November, and that we might hear that again, but I don't know. I don't think there's any other option, so.
If it was a different year, you would have to wait till December.
Well, there's a lot of different parties involved too, different levels of government too, so it's, I think further out will give us a lot better chance
Yeah.
to schedule.
Yep, so. Okay, well, we will, move forward with that then.
Okay,
Next item I have would be just an update for County Road 86. We've done a large topo survey of the area. That's the road that's flooded east of Holland. I've submitted that information to the DNR, working with them to see exactly what would be acceptable. When we met with them on site, they told us, they're open to draining it. We didn't really know how, so the next step, we surveyed it and we're working with them on, there's no point in asking for something that they're not gonna like, so we need to kind of work hand in hand with them on this, so that's where that's at. Something new to us in the world of environmental stuff. I'm hearing now, and I sat in on a virtual meeting a couple weeks ago, that the monarch butterfly may become listed. And they're currently trying to get us to sign up for, or all the counties to sign up for some type of preliminary agreement that would cost us money on an annual basis. But how they're trying to sell it to us is it would limit the restrictions on us going forward. If this does get posted later and we're signed up, we're kind of signing up for these lesser restrictions, but they might be a lot heavier if we don't sign up for it now. I've talked to some of the other county engineers, and I don't know, there's some pretty mixed feelings on this, so we'll see how it goes. I'll let you know when I know more, but just so you know, at some point, we're probably gonna have to make a decision on.
Who are you paying if you do?
I can't remember exactly who it was. I know Fish and Wildlife's involved, and I think it's administrative fees or something for these lesser restrictions. And if we do that, we may have to set up some, I don't know, almost like milkweed farms or something like that. And not too excited about this, but this might be the next Topeka Shiner, so we'll see. There's more to come, but I just wanted to give you the heads up now.
Initiating this thing, is it a state of Minnesota thing, or is it just some individual looking to produce a job for himself?
The state of Minnesota talked with us about this, but I think it's coming from Fish and Wildlife. I'm not,
So it's federal.
I believe so, yes. I think they're the ones that would list it, is how I understood it. I could be wrong on that. I was probably more focused on what it actually means for us, so. But I'll let you know more as I know more. We pay dues. Next item is we pay dues to NACE every year, which would be the National Association of County Engineers. That's a good group. There's a lot of information shared. I would say there's like some lobby value to it as well. Due to COVID, the annual conference got canceled, and that's how they make their money for the year, really. So they need to find a way to make up for that, and one of the things would be increased dues. I don't think it'd amount to more than a couple $100 for us, but worst case scenario, but more to come on that too. Just wanted to let you know that I think it would be worth doing that. That may be something that comes up, so.
Do you think that there's a sizable number of people out there just increasing costs, and just because it's an opportunity to do that, some of these causes don't really require any additional work because of the COVID virus. They're just
Taking advantage of a situation.
see that. I think we better get over the virus and get going with stuff and
Yeah.
forget about it. I mean, it's done now. Let's move on. So.
Yeah, I don't think that this is like taking advantage of an opportunity here, but I guess I haven't like,
Well, you'll know more as you go forward.
yeah. Okay. Next item I have is a follow-up from last month. I did talk with the city about the patches on 8th Avenue, and they're gonna put it on a punch list for the contractor to reheat them and try to smooth them out a little better, so. So that is on their list. The city trail project for the Phase 3 of the Indian Lakes Trail, I was informed that work is not gonna start until the spring. They have a substantial completion date of June 30th on that, so. So that's an update on that.
You're counting on a dry spring, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm not really sure what all goes into it. I don't think there's a whole lot of excavation, so it probably shouldn't be too hard, but a lot different than us trying to install a box culvert in the spring, so. Moving on, I have some maintenance updates. Past month, we've been doing some culvert work, trying to finish up on mowing and spraying. Our new snowplow truck arrived last week, I believe, so that's here. And that lowboy trailer, it sounds like that's about